Hello, and welcome to the Sheriff's Roundup. I'm Sheriff Bill Brown, coming to you from the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office headquarters in Santa Barbara. For this edition of the Roundup, we're going to look at some of the events that occurred in the first several months of 2014. We want to begin by thanking our Isla Vista Foot Patrol deputies who have dealt with some very difficult incidents recently. They've made us proud with how they've handled these challenging situations. In March, at a party in the 6600 block of Del Playa, a victim from Rhode Island in town to visit his brother was stabbed in the stomach by 18-year-old Curian Summers Dickinson of Lompoc. The suspect ran from the scene but was apprehended by sheriff's deputies and arrested. While deputies were investigating that crime, a large crowd gathered in the same block and several individuals jumped on top of cars. When sheriff's deputies went to arrest one of those suspects, 20-year-old Otis Washington of Isla Vista, he fled, but was chased down by a sheriff's deputy. The arrest drew the attention of a large crowd, which began chanting and surrounding the deputies. Some threw bottles and spat at the deputies. Thankfully, a group of people did the right thing and tried to hold back the crowd until more law enforcement officers could arrive. Sheriff's deputies, along with University Police and California Highway Patrol officers, declared the gathering an unlawful assembly and worked together to disperse the crowd. The event was disappointing to the sheriff's office, not only because it was potentially dangerous, but because of the mob mentality that was exhibited.
Immediately disperse the area.
It should be noted that we believe many involved were from out of the area and drawn to Isla Vista's party atmosphere. Isla Vista also had two violent sexual assaults only a month apart. On January the 18th, an 18-year-old UCSB student was forcibly raped by a group of suspects in an alleyway at around 1:30 in the morning. A witness was able to flag down law enforcement and get help. Shortly after, the suspects went to a nearby convenience store and were detained by sheriff's deputies on suspicion of shoplifting. The men were positively identified as being the suspects who had committed the sexual assault. Sheriff's deputies arrested 22-year-old Casey Avila, 18-year-old Charles Dunbar, both of Santa Barbara, as well as a 15-year-old Oxnard resident. They were charged with rape in concert, a serious felony that is charged whenever suspects work together to commit a sexual assault. While extreme sexual assault cases such as this one are rare, just 1 month later, another UCSB student was raped by a group of Asian suspects, and this time the 19-year-old victim was also brutally beaten. Fortunately, she managed to make it back to her Isla Vista apartment following the attack and get help. Because she wasn't able to tell investigators exactly where the crime occurred, sheriff's detectives and UCSB police joined forces to search for the crime scene. The Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Search and Rescue Team was brought in to help look for evidence, and they subsequently located the crime scene on the UCSB campus. Composite sketches of two of the suspects were prepared and released. The search continues to locate those who were responsible for this vicious crime. If you have any information on this case, you are asked to call the UCSB Police Department at 805-893-3446. Or you can leave an anonymous tip by calling 805-681-4171. We want to thank the Sheriff's Search and Rescue Team not only for their help with the sexual assault investigation, but for the tireless work this amazing group of volunteers does all year long to help save lives in our community. Here's longtime search and rescue volunteer Jim Frank to to show and tell us more.
Search and Rescue handles calls for lost hikers. We do the evacuations for fire on behalf of the Sheriff's Office, assist with the fire department for medical emergencies in the backcountry, swiftwater rescues. We also do Project Lifesaver for dementia and Alzheimer patients that wander off. It's a kind of a broad range of things where they need additional manpower, particularly where we need our backcountry skills and ability for wilderness medicine, wilderness transport, ability to work on high-angle terrain with ropes and stretchers and equipment like that. One of the unique skills of the team is man tracking, and it's a skill that was brought to the search and rescue community by the Border Patrol officers many, many years ago. The ability to follow a person's tracks that you almost always leave behind is a very effective way of finding people. It's a skill you have to work at and maintain. Many times for a missing person or a lost person, the first big clue is the car, so we know they're at the trailhead. And the car can give us quite a few clues. The trackers will come up and they'll approach the car very carefully from the back of the car, move around the front to pick up the driver's footprints leaving the car or going to the back of the car, passenger's footprints. And we'll identify those footprints and send that information throughout all the teams. So if we hit a spot on the trail where there's a trail junction, we can make a determination which way that person went. So it's very effective. One response we seem to be getting frequently is hikers that go out for an evening hike and get caught by darkness. Either they don't take flashlights or headlamps, or what they take is inadequate for the situation, or just being out at night, the trail looks very different than it did when you went in the daylight, and they get confused and uncertain where they are, or they take a wrong turn. You're lost in our backcountry at night, you don't know where you're going, it's starting to get cold, it's starting to get dark, things have gotten very uncertain, so it's a great relief to see the headlamps come in, the white helmets, and somebody talking to you. They're usually bringing in water or warm clothes, and you know you're going to find a way back out. Thank you. Thank you. We ask a lot of our team members. You get a lot out of it, you get quite a bit of reward to go out there and find somebody and be able to bring them back, or help an injured person off the trail, or help the detective solve a crime. It is very rewarding, but it is a big time commitment to have the expertise to really serve the community well.
Thank you, Jim, and all of our dedicated search and rescue team members who do a superb job. If you would like to be a part of this great team, go to www.sbcsar.org and find out how you too can serve your community. Our Rural Crimes Unit has been very active this year with several unique and large-scale investigations. In January, sheriff's deputies raided a rooster fighting ring in progress. They discovered a large group of vehicles gathered on private property near the Santa Maria Airport and heard the sound of roosters. About 20 to 30 people fled the area when they saw that law enforcement had arrived. Sheriff's deputies arrested 4 suspects. They recovered 19 roosters, 2 of which had to be euthanized due to injuries they had sustained from the fighting. Sheriff's deputies found metal spurs and other items used for rooster fighting and gambling.
Cockfighting is a brutal sport. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Usually the winner ends up dying as well as the loser. And basically during a fight, the roosters, they're jumping and leaping at each other, and they're slashing and stabbing their opponents with the blades on their legs.
Also in February, after a month-long investigation by our Rural Crimes Unit, 3 people suspected of burglarizing at least 4 farms in the unincorporated area of Santa Maria were arrested. They broke into the farms on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, stealing about $70,000 worth of equipment, vehicles, and tools.
Based on the evidence and the investigation, it was the same people that came back and burglarized the same farm again. And out of that whole investigation, we recovered most of the property, and this was, 3, 4 guys out of Santa Maria, and that was influenced by narcotics.
Thank you to Deputy McCarthy and all of the North County deputies and detectives who worked on these cases and helped arrest those repeat offenders. A suspect responsible for going on a tire slashing spree in Solvang was arrested, but not before he ruined tires on 11 vehicles, including 6 postal delivery trucks. Thanks to a quick-thinking citizen who saw the activity and called 911, sheriff's deputies were able to arrive quickly and catch the suspect, who was hiding in the parking lot. In all, the suspect slashed 35 tires and also cut down several flags in the area. The Sheriff's Roundup will now feature a new segment called Focus on Safety. For this first segment, we're going to focus on phone scams. Santa Barbara County was hit hard by a phone scam this year that communities across the nation have been experiencing as well. In this particular scam, the cyber criminals pose as law enforcement officials and use fear to trick innocent victims into giving them money. The Sheriff's Office answered hundreds of phone calls from panicked residents who claimed they had received a call directly from the Sheriff's Office, notifying them that they had an outstanding warrant and that they would be arrested if they didn't pay a fine immediately by using a prepaid credit card. Through caller identification and manipulation, these suspects made it seem as though the call was coming directly from the Sheriff's Office.
The suspect will tell the victim they need to go down to a local drugstore and put money on something called a green dot card. It's basically a prepaid money card that someone else can pull the money off. The victim, doing exactly what this alleged law enforcement official told them to, would run down, pick up this card, and put $500 on it. Their voicemail message actually stated that they were with the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department.
You have reached the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. All warrants agents are busy right now, so leave a detailed message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.
The message just was absolutely atrocious, and it could scare someone into believing that there was, in fact, a warrant for their arrest.
Phone scammers are hard to track, so the best protection is awareness. We caution residents to never give out personal or financial information over the phone. It's also important to note that the Sheriff's Office does not collect money over the phone or call individuals to notify them that they have an outstanding warrant.
People come to us for protection, and for someone to prey on that and to think that they were the subject of some kind of criminal investigation or that they had a warrant for their arrest is one of the lowest forms of criminality that I've ever seen.
The Sheriff's Office recently received some very exciting news. The Board of State and Community Corrections awarded Santa Barbara County $38.9 million in state funding to construct the Sheriff's Treatment and Reentry Complex as part of the new Northern Branch Jail. The Star Complex will not only provide additional inmate housing, but will be designed specifically to help prepare inmates for their release back into the community. The Star Complex will provide much-needed space for education, life skills instruction, and substance abuse treatment. Santa Barbara County was one of 11 medium-sized counties to apply for a total of $160 million in funding and one of just 4 to receive awards. Congratulations and thanks are due to the outstanding sheriff and county team that put our winning proposal together. Speaking of rehabilitating inmates, there's a unique class being offered to male and female prisoners at the Sheriff's Medium Security Facility that helps do just that. 2 volunteer instructors from the Prison Yoga Project are teaching a weekly yoga class. So far, the reaction has been very positive for both instructors and inmates.
We're at the Santa Barbara County Jail in the Medium Security Facility, Honor Firm. This is a classroom where I teach yoga classes. Statistics show that the majority of the people incarcerated have experienced major trauma. So the experience of trauma is held in the mind, but most importantly in the body. People that have unresolved trauma tend to show impulsive and reactive behaviors like violence and tendencies towards drug and alcohol abuse. So yoga taught with mindfulness is very effective in reducing unresolved trauma. And that's a function of being centered in their body through breath, through meditation, through awareness, through conscious movement. The women that showed up were incredibly receptive and enthusiastic. They were saying, oh, I feel so much more relaxed, I'm so much less anxious, I feel joy, I feel hope for the first time.
I think it's the perfect accompaniment to the recovery, kind of fulfilling the body, mind, and spirit principles. So for me, it's definitely a stress reliever, and I'm very grateful that they have it here. It just puts people in a better place and gives them hope, a different perspective.
I'm working on keeping my own side of the street clean. There you go. Not anyone else's. I'm in recovery. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I've already been working with and seeking with ways to serve other people who are suffering from that disease through the practice of yoga. And looking at the list of bullet points of benefits for somebody who's incarcerated or somebody who's a recovering addict or alcoholic. What do they need in their life? How would yoga benefit that? The two lists are almost identical.
Relieves stress. It gives you something to be focused on and to look forward to. It helps you to concentrate on positive rather than negative, and to grow and to move forward. It helps you to detox. It keeps your body toned. There's just countless benefits with it.
They want to do push-ups, they want to do squats, they want to feel strong, they want to be physically fit, and they want to feel better. But men acquire that, I think, differently than women do. And a man needs to burn off some energy. And so we do a rigorous, athletic, hard yoga class. It's not a lot of humming and chanting. It's a hard workout and then a lot of relaxation and stretching. And once I've worn them out a little bit in the class, which seems to work universally with every class that I teach, I'm kind of a power yoga kind of person. If I can just get them a good hard sweat and a good challenging workout, they're going to be really ready to meditate after that. And they're going to be really ready to relax. So I feel like I have an opportunity here to help some guys open up some new vision for themselves, for their own future. Currently,
Recidivism rates in California are over 70%. So that means 7 out of 10 inmates will be back in jail within 3 years. I think it's really important that we address this issue and the needs of the inmates to rehabilitate them so they're more successful when they re-enter society. And studies now show that embodiment practices such as yoga are very successful in alleviating symptoms of reactive behavior.
I'm changing my views and my mindset so I can make different decisions.
When I did my first class with Ginny, I started crying because it was so relieving. To get some form of positive energy in such a negative environment.
I'm not discounting that they've done something and there's consequences for that, but I'm saying while they're here, let's support them in rehabilitative programs.
Organizers hope to expand the program and recently received a $10,000 grant from the Hutton Foundation. The Sheriff's Office recently hired 2 custody deputies to work at the jail, Thomas Stallings and Lonnie Green II. We also welcomed back 2 Sheriff's deputies, Jonathan Jenkins and James McCarroll, and said hello to a new Sheriff's deputy, Paul Lewis, as well as 5 new Sheriff's deputy trainees who are currently going through the Allen Hancock Police Academy. We hired 2 new dispatchers, Fred Angleton and Madeline Patois, and welcomed a new computer systems specialist, Jerry Short. Adeline Rege joins us as a legal office professional, and Nicole Davis as an extra help administrative office professional. I also recently had the honor of shaking hands and acknowledging a Santa Ynez Valley Christian School Academy student for completing the Drug Resistance and Education Program, DARE.
The DARE program has really helped me be prepared to stay drug-free by teaching me the consequences of drugs, how to make wise decisions in my life.
Callaway Winans is a 5th grader and one of about 1,200 students who will graduate this year from the 10-week program that teaches students how to stay away from drugs, gangs, and violence, and how to make good choices in life. The DARE program is made possible through donations raised by the Sheriff's Benevolent Posse. Speaking of graduations, we want to congratulate 3 of our sergeants for completing the challenging and prestigious Sherman Block Supervisory Leadership Institute. Sergeant John McCammon, Sergeant Mark Williams, and Sergeant Juan Camarena all received their graduation certificates at 2 special ceremonies. They each completed 192 hours of leadership training over the course of 8 months. Well done, gentlemen. We're proud of you. We also want to applaud our ambitious and hard-working explorers who were recognized for their participation and achievements at the Sheriff's Explorers Annual Awards Luncheon in Solvang. Thank you to the Guild Mortgage Company for its generous donation to the Explorers program in Santa Maria. This outstanding program gives young people with an interest in a law enforcement career a first-hand look at our profession. We had a great turnout for the kickoff of our 2014 Tip-A-Cop season at Chili's in Goleta. Employees from the Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office, County Probation, and the UCSB Police Department volunteered as waiters and waitresses to help raise money for Santa Barbara County Special Olympics. Several special athletes showed up to help out as well. This is the 13th year Chili's has hosted a Tip-A-Cop. Last year, altogether, the Tip-A-Cop functions and the law enforcement torch run raised almost $100,000 for Special Olympics in Santa Barbara County. We also had a great turnout for a Coffee with a Cop event held at the Goleta Coffee Company in the Turnpike Shopping Center. Locals showed up to get to know the sheriff's deputies that work in their neighborhoods. Thanks to Goleta Coffee for having us and to everyone who attended. If you would like press releases from the Sheriff's Office and information on programs and upcoming events sent to you, you can sign up to receive Nixle notices directly on your cell phone or your computer. Go to www.sbsheriff.org and click on the Nixle link to sign up. You can also connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Sheriff's Roundup. Until next time, thanks for watching, and thanks for supporting us as we protect your safety.